Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're taking a look at a brand new card revealed for Doom of Dimensions. This card is called Fusion Recruitment. Pretty cool card. We've gotten a handful of these over the last couple of years, whether it's like a trap or different types of cards that have fusion in the name, and they help you kind of get access to some generic fusion stuff, but kind of work with like the need like the right type of fusion archetype or monster to really vibe with. So we're gonna take a look at it here. I also had enough time this morning because this card's only gonna have a handful of like particularly good targets, but I already went through and I already made a list that we're gonna go through here of like which cards I think actually could have good synergy with this card out the gate. So yeah, fusion recruitment. Let's get into it. This is a normal spell card. You can only activate it once per turn. Discard a card and reveal one fusion monster in your extra deck. So we are discarding his cost. So, not stellar. Getting ashed on this is a neg one and stuff like that. But still, discarding is not the worst cost you can do. You can add special summon from the X deck for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except fusion monsters. Also, add one of the fusion materials whose name is mentioned on the revealed monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except the discarded card. Then, if you added a normal monster, you can add a second such monster. So pretty interesting, right? So you're revealing a fusion monster in your extra deck. You're able to add a monster that's specifically listed in its materials. That kind of pigeonholes us a little bit. And there's a couple, I think there were really three main points when I was looking for the best targets for this card. The first one was obviously it needs to be something where whatever you're searching, whatever situation you're in, you need to be okay with being locked into fusions. That is a tough lock for a lot of different decks, but there are still some fusion only decks that don't mind that too much. Secondly, this archetype has to have, or card that we're looking at has to have a specific listed material. That means if it says a, off the top of my head, like a Prank Kids monster, right? If there's a fusion monster that says, a Prank Kids monster, that doesn't mean you can add a Prank Kids monster. It has to be specifically worded because it says its name, whose name is mentioned. So it has to be the exact name, not just like a generic, category of cards. So there needs to be that. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and the target just needs to be good, right? Not only does the monster have to be searchable, but like you need it to be a good search target. Like it doesn't really matter that much if we're searching vanillas, right? So those are kind of the three criteria I was working off of when I was looking through the list. I kind of skimmed through the entire list of like 500 and whatever fusion monsters, and this is kind of the list that I came up with that are any sort of interesting, right? So hold on, let's shrink this down real quick. All right, starting off here, you have Vados. You have the Ashened archetype here. This can only search Vados, the Eruption Dragon. Even though he is, an integral part of the strategy, it's not really a starter. So take that for what it is. Do you really want to neg one search that? By the way, I'm starting off with like the ones that are funny and like could be something, but we'll get to the ones that are really interesting once we're through all these ones. So Vados is in there. Vicious Astrolabe. This allows you to search Visa Starfrost. Not really a card you normally wanted to search, but you can, and it's fine. Union Controller. This one's a weird one, right? Where like this one actually could make some sense because like all of the ABC pieces are searchable basically off of this card. The problem is like the ABC pieces tend to not be starters for the deck generally. The spells and traps, as far as I know, tend to be better starters. And they like to link summon. They like to make rank 4s in that deck to help get your materials in grave. So being hard fusion locked, I'm just not sure is exactly what you want to be with that archetype. Thunder Dragon Colossus. This one was borderline for me. The problem is this card only allows you to search exactly Thunder Dragon, which just adds you 2 more Thunder Dragons. So it's like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, how is this actually like pushing our engine? Like, really? So I ended up leaving it here. It's more funny than anything. Sandwich can search either Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest. There are so many old fusions that just search like terrible vanillas. At least this card searches something where like these 2 monsters could, get you a search later on, which is funny. Rune Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I think it's maybe the only fusion that lists specifically Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. So that's fun, I guess. I don't know if it's actually good though. I'm not sure that deck wants to be hard fusion locked. Ojamas are funny. Ojamas just aren't good enough. Like this one actually like could be okay to just get your Ojama names in rotation, but yeah, just not killing it. There's also a weird thing where I'm not sure exactly how the ruling on this new spell card is going to work. Where because it says if you added a normal monster, you can add a second such monster. Does that mean if a card like Ojama King lists a second monster specific name, does that mean you'd be able to like add Ojama Yellow? Then because you added Ojama Yellow, add Ojama Green or something? You know what I mean? There are other like anime ones where it's like Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. Would you be able to get one of each name because they just technically still fit the criteria of the card, or is it saying like you have to add another copy of the same exact card? I don't know the exact ruling on that based on how this is worded. This is a weird wording here on the translation, but that's also something to keep in mind that could add a little bit of extra versatility to the card. The Gate Guardians. I don't even know if you want these cards in hand, but this archetype's so bad anyway. I'm just not worried about it. Elemental Hero Aquanios was really the only hero fusion, even though heroes are a fusion deck. They also really want to exceed and stuff. So not sure how strong I felt about this one. The cool thing about this one is even if you're not playing a hero deck, you can get Neospatian Aqua Dolphin from deck, and that card just hand rips. So potentially this is searching a way to beat hand traps before you commit into something else. Of course, you have to be okay being fusion locked. So still kind of just funny to me. Dual Avatar's an interesting one where I think this card's actually just pretty good for dual avatar, but kind of similar to the Gate Guardians. Just this archetype's so bad. They do have two different monsters that they can search off of this, and this deck doesn't really mind being fusion locked. It's just this deck goes first, and you do a handful of fusion summoning, and then you pass, and your opponent realizes you're ending on like 2 or 3 like weak interactions on your full board, and it's just not good enough, unfortunately. Dragon Master Knight. This one just makes Blackluster Soldier searchable. Sure. Dark Magician here. The Cyber Dark monsters, Horn, Edge, and Keel. Of course, those are just not really very good, so I don't really care about it that much. Crimson Nova Trinity allows you to search Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. It's the boss monster of the deck. Cool card. Just if you have to neg to search it, the cubic lord needs you to have like enough other cubics in hand. So I don't know if we want to be discarding from hand really, but still an interesting target. Blue Eyes, obviously searchable here. Buster Blader, searchable here. Summon Skull and Red Eyes Black Dragon, searchable here. Queen Azamina, also searchable. I don't think that one's that relevant because she's like, again, kind of a brick. You're like negging one to search a monster that's like decent if she's used as material for a fuse. I just don't think it's really worth it. This allows you to search all 3 of the sacred beasts, Uriah, Hamon, and Raviel. Not good cards, but if you want to play an anime style deck, they're now pretty searchable, so that's cool. Arm Neos lets you get access to Elemental Hero Neos, but again, like heroes really want to be doing a little bit of link summoning as well, so it makes it tough to try and push them into all fusion. Arcana Knight Joker, Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, King's Knight. That's a funny little archetype, but it's in that Gate Guardian realm of just bad. And I think I miss? I think I might have missed one. I think there's a Destiny Hero fusion that allows you to search Plasma. It's not a starter, and you still have to get like a full board of 3 monsters, but like it does search Plasma. So there's that. But yeah, again, that's hero stuff. All right, into the ones that are actually good, potentially. Archmage. This one's really cool. The new Archmage archetype really doesn't even go into the X deck aside from the fusions. So this just allows us to search Medius. It's just extra copies of Medius. Now, the deck seems to already have a lot of like Rhodas and Stratoses, so I don't know if this card power creeps any of those and is better in any way. But at the very least, it has good synergy. If this deck felt like it didn't have enough starters, this could be an interesting search card for Medius. Invoked. Alistair, obviously. It's cool. It's just extra copies of Alistair. Even with the amount of copies of Alistair that we already have, I've been kind of bummed at like how redundant he feels if you ever draw him, right? You just extra copies or extra meltdowns are just dead. So I don't know if you want more of that, but it's there. It's fine. It's funny. And the only awkward thing with him is that sometimes, or a lot of times in the past, you would want a normal Alistair search Invocation, and then you'd want to link it off into a link 1. Can't do that now. You are discarding a card, so you might just be sending the material you need engrave anyway. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Eldlich, this is the new fusion for Eldlich. It does list the Golden Lord himself specifically, and this is a deck that's probably just a heavy trap deck. So it is just an extra searcher for Eldlich. It also gives you a discard outlet, so discarding some of the Eldlich spells and traps that you just want engrave immediately to just get a search for the card you actually want on your end board is kind of interesting. Just not sure if we actually need it, right? The deck already has its own search spell, and do we really have to find Eldlich that way? Because Scarlet Sanguine also gets you access to him. So like, are we really that worried about it? I don't know, but it does work. Tearlaments. This gives us 3 more searchable copies for Tearlament Rhinoheart. Tearlaments feels like that kind of deck that like maybe can play pretty well in under a fusion lock, but the deck definitely appreciates being able to link and exceed summon for good utility at times. All those cards are still so heavy on the ban list, but at least having 3 more copies of Rhinoheart could be nice to get the ball rolling. So it's a cool target. And this is really like the big one, right? Grand Guignol and Albaz. So Fallen of Albaz as a searchable target off of, I don't know, every like branded fusion monster. But Grand Guignol also had some cool utility, being able to help us get to Blazing Cartesia, which actually low key like kind of is a starter, right? Because her plus like any monster in hand basically allows us to get into one of our branded fusions that just lets us pop off. So pretty cool. Those are probably one of the more premium targets here. Again, branded already has a ton of searchers and stuff. So how much are we really hurting for that? I don't know, but it's there. Frightfur, you can get Edge Imp Sabers or Fluffle Bear. There's a couple other cards that also let you search some of the other Edge Imp monsters, but nothing too crazy. And I don't know off the top of my head how much Frightfur or Fluffle really cares about the lock, but it's a target. Horned Source is interesting. You can get Kaito Terra, which is a dino that searches polymerization. So kind of helps you get into this card, and then this card just gets you basically any field spell from deck, which could be the Jurax stuff, and maybe actually be a decent card, because I know dinos really aren't going into the extra deck that much. I guess the new synchros are really the main thing, but you can still kind of get some stuff going aside from that. I don't know. Might be interesting. Chimera Tech is interesting. You can search Cyber Dragon, just summon it, and then try and break a board. Funny. Pure Cyber Dragon, I don't really see it because that deck kind of wants to do some Exceed summoning, kind of wants to do a little bit of Link summoning. So I don't know if this is the best way there, but at least getting Sidra from deck, or even one of the monsters that counts as Sidra from grave, you can also do here, which is cool. And that's it. So it's an interesting card. It's the kind of card where I don't know how many archetypes are perfect with it right now, because even the archetypes that have the best synergy, like I would say Archmage and like Dogmat or Branded, seem to be like 2 of the archetypes that have the most synergy so far. I think you could easily make the argument that those are the kind of archetypes that kind of have enough searchers. Consistency is not really the biggest concern for those decks. So how important would a card like this even be? That being said, I think Konami's too smart to just release cards like this that seem to have a lot of potential and just never work. I mean, I guess they've done it in the past, but like I'm gonna have a little faith here that like even if there's nothing perfect right now, does that mean we'll see new fusion decks down the line where this card seems to really pop in and have really good synergy with and actually work? Maybe. We'll keep an eye on it. But it's a cool card nonetheless. Hopefully this gives you a good eye out for this card coming down the line. It does have some cool stuff going for it here that we could see, but pretty cool nonetheless. So let me know your thoughts down below here. Is there anything specific that you want to see from this card? Is there you know what I mean? Is there anything particular that stands out to you about it? Did I miss anything? Where do you think the potential is? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.